Welcome to the Farmers Union Insurance pregame show. I'm Lauren Hill, joined here with Edward Nieman and Ken Oda, and we are getting you ready for game one of this two-weekend series against St. Cloud. So tonight we are playing in St. Cloud for tonight and tomorrow, and then the team will come back here and we'll play them in Minot. Edward, this is your first time in St. Cloud, Minnesota. What are the vibes like so far in the barn?
Well, it's good. It's kind of what I was expecting when we talk about November hockey. Snow is on the ground. My first trip up here to St. Cloud, real nice winter. So, Tauros back on the road. I'm excited to get another weekend started.
So we'll taking it to our Farmers Union Insurance recap of past Saturday night. Let's take a look back at the Saturday's shootout win over the Bobcats.
Yeah, another bounce back game here for the Tauros. Dropped the Thursday night contest, get the Friday off. Tauros fought back in this one. Bismarck gets on the board first. Tauros looking out of a hole in the second period. It was John Small, though, to come to that Toro lead for his seventh goal on the year. Ian Spencer ties it up in the third period. And then Ian Spencer, once again, in the shootout, was the hero for the Tauros to hand the Bobcats their first loss of the season. And I think a real good game for the Tauros. Cody Campbell talked about it in Tauros All Access this week. Just carry that momentum into this weekend against a real good St. Cloud team.
Yeah, I thought it was an important win as well. You don't want to ever have someone in your division thinking that they're invincible, and being able to knock Bismarck down, especially last year it was the Tauros and Bobcats at the top of the division pretty much all year. Tauros not at the top of the division right now, but that's mostly because they just haven't played as many games as everyone else. So, a good chance here against the second place team this weekend to stay hot and continue to make a statement about where the Tauros will end up at the end of the year.
Yeah, well, now turning our attention back to tonight's game in St. Cloud, let's look at our updated Noodles numbers brought to you by Noodles and Company of Minot. So our Minotaurs are currently 7-4-0 as St. Cloud is 8-2-3. We've played them so far this season and we split the series. We kind of talked about that yesterday on our weekend preview. And as for our goals per game, we average around 3.3 goals per game as they're averaging about 3.1 goals per game, which is a good stat for us. But as for goals against, we have a average of 2 goals against us scored per game as they have a 2.5 average scored against them per game.
Yeah, offense for the Tauros and defense both outpacing St. Cloud on the year, and that's why I talk about if you look at where the Tauros are in the standings right now, they're 5 points behind St. Cloud, but they've played 2 fewer games. So you get the wins this weekend, you've still played 2 fewer games, and you're only 1 point behind them. And I think if you compare the Tauros overall stats to most of the teams in the division, it compares well. So once the Tauros start to catch up in games played and get to play some of these other opponents and hopefully hand them some losses, Tauros should be moving back towards the top half of the bracket.
Ken, you look at St. Cloud, they're coming off a heck of a weekend themselves. They swept an Aberdeen team that came into this building last week. It was one loss. St. Cloud puts up 7 goals on them. Aberdeen, of course, really good goaltending this year. So St. Cloud with some momentum and definitely a full-fledged second place team in this division that's played really good hockey, especially as of late.
Yeah, only 2 regulation losses overall on the season. One of them came in Minot about a month ago.
Yeah. I mean, and then also I think it's interesting to point out, obviously you've talked about this with penalty minutes. With each game, you're going to increase this number, but our total penalty minutes have stayed below 100 so far. We're approaching the 100 mark, might reach it this weekend. Currently have 96 total penalty minutes as St. Cloud has 141. That seems to be a trend though in the teams that we played already, with them having just higher penalty minutes than us.
Yeah, Tauros averaging about 8.5 minutes a game. St. Cloud not that much worse at about 10.5. So Tauros a little bit more disciplined, but St. Cloud one of the more disciplined teams in the division as well, for sure.
Yeah, we talked about it last week too, just the importance of staying out of the box, especially when you're playing games against other teams that are right at the top of the division. So definitely another thing to watch. Although, like you said, both teams so far pretty good throughout this first couple weeks of the season.
And we'll be back with more of the Farmers Union Insurance pregame show after a quick word from our partners.
The puck, the net, the crowd, the moment. A chance to make history. Just like that perfect play, we're here to help you win at your financial game. At Great River Federal Credit Union, we offer competitive rates and innovative technology designed to empower you to achieve your goals. Become a member of Great River and score a $100 bonus when you use promo code Hockey100. Visit greatriverfcu.org/Hockey100 for details and open your account. Member NCUA.
Welcome back to the Farmers Union Insurance pregame show. It's time to look at our Minotauros Booster Club players to watch. So I'm going to throw it to Ken first for his choice of Ben Aucoin.
Yeah, Ben Aucoin, he's probably the quietest member of the small Spencer Aucoin line. Doesn't get as much attention, but he had an assist in both games against St. Cloud when these teams met in Minot last month. So I'm looking for him to continue to produce, and he's helped out for sure by having Spencer Small on his line as well.
Yeah, Lauren, I'm going to go with a defensive pick. Adam Mahler, goal and an assist in the Saturday win for the Tauros against St. Cloud. Defense has been an aspect of this Toro team so far, particularly in their wins. Good goaltending last weekend against Bismarck, but I think the defense also was important. Like I mentioned before, St. Cloud combined 7 goals on the weekend last weekend. Obviously, if you're the Tauros, from a defensive standpoint, you're trying to want to mitigate that and cut that number down. And I think Adam Mahler will be a big part of that.
Yeah, I agree. I like both of y'all's picks. I'm going my pick tonight with Ian Spencer. I just think what we've talked about just kind of throughout the entire week, we talked to head coach Cody Campbell about momentum, and we kind of touched on that yesterday with the weekend preview of just how important momentum is to bring from one weekend to the next and just keep that level up. He just in total this year has had 4 goals and 9 assists, and with what he did last week against Bismarck, specifically on Saturday with the game tying goal in the second period, as well as the overall game winning shootout goal, I think that his momentum and just who he is and how he kind of holds himself, I think that his momentum is going to continue into the series against St. Cloud. So.
Yeah, that's a great choice. I wouldn't want to bet against Ian Spencer when he's on a heater.
Yeah. Yeah. So that will bring us to our home key group's keys to the game. So Ken, what are your keys tonight?
Well, it starts with, you mentioned first visit to the MAC for Edward, and for a lot of these Tauros, it starts with having a good exit strategy, getting out of the Tauros zone. You can't see it now, but you will tonight in a few minutes when the game starts. Very low ceiling at the MAC. Short glass. The glass behind the goals is the height of the short glass at the Mesa Arena, maybe even a little bit shorter. And the glasses on the sidewalls is barely over 7 feet tall total. So the chip plays you have at the Mesa where you just put it off the glass and out to neutral, those aren't available. The flip plays when you're trapped deep in your zone and you just flip the puck out to neutral ice, not really available. You're probably going to end up hitting the rafters, which gets, in either case, it gets treated like an icing. You're not allowed to change and draw on your defensive zone. So it makes it a tough building to play in. St. Cloud, they know that historically under Corey Millen, their last head coach, they would forecheck a little bit more aggressively because of that when they were at home, just knowing that you don't have a lot of time to make a play. And I mean, Edward, you're there at the back. You can see how short that glass is now.
Yeah, Kenny, it's crazy. You talk about it. I heard, over the past couple of years, you mentioned it on the broadcast. It's always been a big thing when you come into the building in St. Cloud, but actually being here, you can really see how short it is. And it definitely plays a difference in how these guys get out of their own zone. You talk about exit strategy. Another big part, you want to stay out of the box, right? You want to stay out the penalty kill because the penalty kill gets that much harder with the short glass when you just kind of bank it out of your own zone. So definitely will be a big key this weekend against the team.
Second home key group key to the game is finding energy from within. Tauros just had a huge game on Saturday night. Trunk or treat game at the Mesa. Game sold out You're playing in front of 2,300 people. That's not going to be the case this weekend in St. Cloud. Typically one of the smaller gates in the division every night. So you're not going to be able to feed off the energy in the building. You're going to have to find it from within.
Yeah, that's something that Coach talked about this week was just, getting off to a good start. It's the first couple of lines and really give you that energy and tone in this game. So Tauros looking to carry that momentum, but I think coming off a big win on Saturday night, maybe that will be a little easier this weekend.
And that does bring me to my third key of the game. Edward, you hinted at it, a fast start. The first goal in both games in Minot against these Norsemen came in the first few minutes. The Tauros goal came in the first minute of the game. St. Cloud's came about 3.5 minutes into the game. Whichever team scored that first goal went on to win the game. So I think getting off to a fast start tonight and tomorrow will be a key against these Norsemen.
Yeah, Tauros have shown they can do it both ways. Obviously, had a work from behind last weekend, but I think if the Tauros get off to a nice start this weekend, we could see a kind of a repeat of that Saturday game against this Norseman team up at Mesa Arena a couple weeks ago.
All right, thank y'all for that. And we'll be back with more of the Farmers Union Insurance pregame show after this commercial break.
As long as you have the back of someone in the midst of an overdose, North Dakota's Good Samaritan Law has yours. Learn how to save a life at behavioralhealth.nd.gov.
Opioids. Fill with care.
Minotaurs fans, it's time to take out your phones and pull up the Tauros mobile app for your chance to win prizes throughout tonight's game. So starting with our 4 Bears Sportsbook over-unders, our first one is total John Small points. Are we going over, under 0.5?
Well, he's got a point in every game that the Tauros have scored in. So the only 2 games he's been held off the board were the 2 nights the Tauros were shut out this year. So I'll look for that streak to stay alive, and I'll take the over.
I'll take the over as well. Just as I mentioned, the streak is alive and well, and I can't be feeding into the bad mojo as well as betting against the numbers. So I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to go over too. Like Ken said with that stat, I think that there is a great chance that John Small is scoring, not even tonight, but also tomorrow. So yeah, I'm going over with that one. Our second one is total stoppages due to the low ceiling in St. Cloud. Are we going over, under 3.5?
I wasn't taking notes last time you guys were here in St. Cloud, but I got it. It's going to be the over, ceiling very low, boards low. And I think, this being the first time the Tauros play in St. Cloud, maybe they're not 100% used to it this season. So I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I'm going to go over as well. I'm thinking at least one a period seems pretty easy. I'm not going to count stuff going over the glass, though, as low as their glass is, because you can't tell. At least when I'm watching at home, I can't tell if it would have been, over taller glass or not. So we're just going to count stuff that hits the rafters, hits the ceiling, hits the banners. But still, I think one a period's pretty easy number.
I have no clue what I'm envisioning what y'all are talking about and what you're describing. I can't wait to watch tonight and actually see what that looks like. I'm going to go over just because y'all are saying over. I don't know. I feel like saying under may just be wrong. But I feel like tomorrow I'll have a better, I'll hint at that tomorrow in the pregame show as to, oh yes, the ceiling is very low. And then with our last one, we have a little fun one here. Total pieces of his kids' Halloween candy that Ken will be eating while watching this game. The over-under here is 10.5. Before I answer this, Ken, what was the Halloween basket looking like? Like, are there really good options in there, or?
I have not looked at it yet, but Lily came home and she was pretty excited that it was overflowing. So there's a lot to choose from.
And can I also ask, are there Reese's in there?
Again, I haven't looked, but if there are, I'll find them.
So I'm gonna go over based on if there are Reese's in that basket. Ken is definitely going over 10.5 with that.
I'm staying over. I think that's the easiest over under of all year, 10.5. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw a guess out there because I feel like, well, whatever I say it's going to be is kind of an easy, well, Though if I took the under, I wouldn't bet on my self-control. But either way, let's just move on to the McDonald's Toros trivia question. Who is the Toros' all-time points leader against the Norsemen / Blizzard organization? Remember, the St. Cloud Norsemen used to be the St. Cloud Blizzard and the Brookings Blizzard. Before that, your options: Johnny Walker, Cade Stibbe, a couple of Arizona State players, Kyler Clevin, who went to Minnesota Duluth, or Christian Mose, the Toros' all-time leading scorer, who ended up in Miami, Ohio. So four options there. I don't think either of you know the answer to this one.
I don't. I'm gonna be so honest, but I'm gonna go with the lovely multiple choice of picking which name I like the best, and I'm going Johnny Walker. That's just an elite name right there. And put a little ode to Arizona State there for Edward.
Yeah, I'm going to take Johnny Walker as well. I usually in this scenario would like to be different. Johnny Walker, of course, playing multiple seasons with my Arizona State Sun Devils. I believe an Arizona kid himself. So I'm going to take Johnny Walker just for the Sun Devils. So, yeah.
Well, fans, get your guesses in the Four Bears Sportsbooks over-unders and the McDonald's Toros trivia. Win yourself some prizes here during tonight's game. And yeah, see if you agree with these guys or if you've got a different answer for that McDonald's Toros trivia question.
Well, guys, do y'all have any final thoughts heading into tonight's game in St. Cloud?
I guess for me, Ken, it's Toros coming off a Saturday night win. You look at the season, just from a wide angle, you look at games that could kind of change the tide and really just be a jumping off point. I think this weekend could be for the Toros following Eddie Bismarck, their first loss of the year. So I think if the Toros take care of business against a really good St. Cloud Norsemen team, they can, go home for 2 back-to-back weekends and really start to pick up some momentum.
Yeah, I think the Toros have been playing well on the road. I talked about it yesterday on All Access. Went to Austin, swept Austin. Went to North Iowa, swept the Bulls. So I think something about these guys getting on the bus, they seem focused, they seem locked in. You like to see that from a group, especially early in the season, that these are business trips. They're there to work. And I think Toros pick up at least 2 points on the weekend, hopefully 4.
All right, well, that'll do it for the Farmers Union Insurance pregame show. We'll send you out for one more break, and then Edward will be back with the drop of the puck right here on the Minotauros Network.